It looks like we're still waiting for Rachel. Give her just a few more minutes. Welcome, everybody, and thank you for coming to the CIAL meeting. My name is Lisa Renee Cada. I am one of the HR analysts here at the City of Flagstaff, and I am your staff liaison for today's meeting. We are waiting for our vice chair to get online, and we'll give her a couple of more moments, and then we'll go ahead and get started.
And Rachel actually, I think, opened the wrong link.
Okay.
Different agendas went out. So, but she just called me that she should be entering very shortly.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, Jeremy, thank you. When we get to that portion, I will definitely call on you. Or will call on you. Let's see if everybody else is here. Keith is here.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon, Rachel. We are ready to call to order. So if you want to go ahead and do roll call, we'll go ahead and get started.
We are doing roll call. Russ Randall.
I'm here.
Okay. Sarah Dorman.
Here.
Keith Becker.
Here.
Susan Purrington.
Hello, I'm here.
Hello. And Michelle Eisenberg.
Michelle's here.
Hi, Michelle. So we have 3 new commissioners starting with this meeting, and I'm going to give you guys just a little minute. Some of you are familiar faces, and others are brand new, and we're thrilled to have you here, but I will let you each introduce yourselves. Go ahead, Ms. Purrington.
Hi, everyone. My name is Susan Purrington. I am the Executive Director of Welcomed Here, a new nonprofit in the area of creating inclusive spaces for organizations. And I'm happy to be appointed. Thank you.
Welcome.
All right. Take it away.
I'm Russ Randall. I am retired from Flagstaff Unified School District, where I served 41 years as a special education teacher and transition coordinator. Presently, I work as a consultant for Divergent, which is a tech firm that actually provides training for folks with disabilities remotely. And I also am representing the Northern Arizona Community Practice Transition Team. And I am a former commissioner who is now returning to the commission.
And last but not least, Michelle.
Hello, everybody. I'm Michelle Eisenberg. I'm actually serving a couple different roles. I am actually currently the employment manager over at the Hojoni Foundation, where we help individuals with disabilities find employment in the community. I am also the chair for the Northern Arizona Community of Practice team. So currently, at least for this meeting, I am still one of the liaisons along with Russ. And then I am very happy to be on this commission. Thank you.
Welcome, all three of you. Some of you, like I said, are returning, and some of you are brand new, but we're excited that you're here. We finally have a full commission. So thank each and every one of you. All right, all commissioners should have their microphones on mute to keep the background noise out of the chat room. The chair of the meeting should ensure everyone has an opportunity to speak if they would like. Commissioners should use the chat function to inform the chair that they would like to make a statement, and the chair will announce the commissioners to speak in the order they appear in the chat. Please be respectful of other members and participants and do not interrupt when another person is talking. This commission does not move on to new business until all questions have been answered. The commission cannot act upon items presented during the public participation portion of the agenda. Individual commission members may ask questions of the public, but are prohibited by the open meeting law from discussion or considering the item among themselves until the item is actually placed on the agenda. Each public comment or presentation will be limited to 5 minutes. And at this point, do we have any public participation? Adam, I see you raised your hand. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, Chair and Commissioners, City staff, and everyone else on this call. It is so good to be with you. My name is Adam Shimoni, here as a member of the public. I am currently also serving as a board member with the Flagstaff Biking Organization. I think a lot of you know I formerly served as our vice mayor and a member of the city council. And my background is in special education. And so I very, very much appreciate the fact that you all have a full commission and all of your services to this commission and to the city. This work is critical to the well-being of our city and our functioning for all of our community. And I apologize it's taken me this long to join one of your meetings. I don't know if I've been to any of your other meetings, but I'll say as a council member, life is crazy. And so now that I am done with that, it's really good to have more time to be here with you all and tune into your conversations. And on that note, you all have a really important agenda today, and I'm looking forward to that discussion. And I'll have more comments on certain agenda items as that arises, but just wanted to say hi. Thank you for taking the time to serve the community through this capacity, and looking forward to getting to know each of you better and work with you all as a commission body. Thank you, Chair, and have a great meeting.
Thank you, Adam. Do we have any other public participation?
Jeremy has his hand up. Go ahead.
I got it.
Good afternoon, everyone. Jeremy DeGator, Capital Improvements Project Manager. It's good to be back with this commission again. My function, I've got an item on the agenda today, but this is really about inviting this commission to the library ribbon cutting that will be this Friday at 10 a.m. Certainly this commission had a big role in what that project looks like today, so we invite you to come out and participate in the ribbon cutting ceremony, and we hope to see you there. And I believe you should have gotten some email invite to the same that same point, and we hope to see you there. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy. And Lisa, do we know if there has been an informal meeting posting for the library opening?
Mariah, can you pop in and tell Rachel what you did today? Sorry, Rachel. I believe that it was posted. I will have to double check on that because that email went to Mariah Franklin today, but I will double check on it.
Thank you. And that needs to be posted 24 hours before the event. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you. All right, information items to and from Inclusion and Adaptive Living Commission members. I'm going to start with a couple of things. October 5th is a town hall concerning Jeremy's project with the Butler and 4th Street roundabout. And I would appreciate it, and I know I will be there for any support that we can give on that day. And I'll if Jeremy, if you have that information, would you mind putting that in the chat for everyone? The other thing is October 10th at 3 p.m. City Council will hear our presentation that we presented last month for our sidewalk encroachment issue. And so we invite everybody to come and watch that as well. We will be taking further actions on that after it's presented as we go on. Also, NAU and PROS, which is public, somebody help me.
Parks, recreation, open spaces, and events.
Thank you. We are going to be hopefully doing a video with commission members. We need 3 commission members. And if you would, if you would email me if you're interested, then we will work with Amy Hagan to find out when and where we're doing the video. But we have been invited to that, and I would appreciate the support. All right, now for staff participation. Go ahead, Lisa.
Good morning, everyone. All I have, or good afternoon, all I have this morning or this afternoon was I was going to talk about the grand opening to the library, and also just some ongoing communications with City Council regarding the hospital that's going to be built. So we are still meeting with that with City Council. Public participation is taking place, and it's an ongoing conversation, and that's the only update that I have today.
Thank you, Lisa.
You're welcome.
Although Estella and our student liaisons are not staff, we will hear from them now. Go ahead, Estella.
Well, thank you, Chair, members of the Commission. Hi, everyone. Estella Hollander. I'm the Mobility Planner with Mountain Line and your Transportation Liaison. First update, some of you may be used to seeing Mitch Reddy's face providing this update. However, he left Mountain Line at the end of last month, so I'm kind of taking over this liaison duty until we fill the Associate Transit Planner position. Which leads me to give a plug, but we are hiring a new associate transit planner position. So if you know of anyone who kind of wants to get more into transit planning, also, you know, sits on our Coordinated Mobility Council, which is a group of members who discuss transportation challenges and solutions for older adults and people with disabilities. They would lead that commission, or sorry, that council. And so it's an entry-level position. So yeah, please let me know if you check out also our website. We have the job posting, or I can also put my email if you know of anyone and I can direct them in the right place. So for an update so last month in August, we had our Coordinated Mobility Council, which I know some of you attend those meetings. Some of you may not be aware of that meeting, but they're quarterly. And again, we talk about challenges, issues, solutions regarding transportation topics around older adults and people with disabilities. So kind of hone in on a variety of different topics. Last month, we do have 2 subcommittees that go along with this committee, which is one that is focused on streamlining the paratransit eligibility process. This subcommittee is actually kind of coming to an end because they've completed their task, which is good news. So if any of you have completed either for yourself or on behalf of others, the paratransit eligibility process, it's very cumbersome. And so they've been able to at least streamline the Part C, which was where kind of the professional verification from either like a doctor's office, for example, from it used to be 10 pages, now it's 3. So it's definitely, hopefully, a little bit easier for people to maneuver the paratransit eligibility process. The other subcommittee is a wheelchair accessible vehicle subcommittee. So this one's focused on trying to bring more accessible vehicles to Flagstaff, especially kind of in the Uber and Lyft and taxi realm. Right now, our paratransit's really kind of the only wheelchair option for people, but maybe as some of you are aware, it's not an on-demand service. So you have to book rides, you know, the day before. It's shared rides, so it doesn't always fit people's needs. So this group is kind of a task force looking at just trying to come up with some additional solutions for Flagstaff. So there's that. And then At our meeting, we had an update from MetroPlan, which is the Metropolitan Planning Organization. Basically, they do more kind of regional planning in Flagstaff and anywhere from like roads to also bike peds, so a little bit more broad transportation planning in the region. They're working on a regional transportation safety plan. I'm actually going to put the link in the chat because it's quite interesting data. They really show various crash data between vehicles, but also like pedestrians and cyclists, but also gets down to a bit of some nitty-gritty data, looking at, for example, like older like road users, which is defined as over 65, looking kind of honing into like pedestrian and bicycle involved crashes. So it's like animal involved, aggressive driving. So it just, I think it gets a little bit more nitty gritty. So it could be interesting reference point for some of the endeavors that this group's working on. So that's it for me. But also, if there's any topics about transportation, things that you want to learn more about, and I can provide updates for next month, just let me know. Otherwise, I'll just think of topics to discuss. But if there's anything you're interested, yeah, just let me know. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Estella. Would you remind us when the Mobility Commission meets again?
Yes, so that is, let me get the date. The next one's going to be in November. And it's typically the third Friday, so it's November 17th from 10 a.m. to noon. Currently, I think out of the commissioners, typically Russ Randall attends as well as Michelle. So I just worry about any sort of quorum issues, but otherwise I think we're at least allowed one more potentially. So.
Thanks, Estella. All right, now we're going to hear from our new, youth liaisons. Michelle, go ahead. Rest, you can go.
Good afternoon, Rachel. Thank you for allowing me to speak here today. Just as Rachel said, I do want to make it clear that for this segment, even though I'm a newly appointed commissioner, I am speaking on behalf of the Northern Arizona Community of Practice team at this time until this segment is over. A couple of things. We are going to be having our transition fair that we sponsor every year over at Coconino Community College on 10/27. So we are working on our flyer and such, and because we're meeting this Thursday to finalize the actual details, dates, and times. So I might be sharing that with y'all later. So there was some discussions that came up at our most recent meetings. So the Northern Arizona Community of Practice team drafted a letter that I would like to share with the commissioners. So I'm going to read that now. To members of the Commission on Inclusion and Adaptive Living. The Northern Arizona Community of Practice team is a team of individuals who advocate for individuals with disabilities in Northern Arizona. The team's mission statement is to improve lifelong outcomes for youth and young adults with disabilities. With our mission statement in mind, we are submitting this letter to you to provide a voice for those members of our community whom we represent. Last month, the Northern Arizona Community of Practice team received a letter stating concerns regarding the plans for the proposed Northern Arizona Healthcare Health and Wellness Village. This letter prompted lengthy discussions during our recent meetings. Views expressed in support of the new hospital have included that a new hospital would have more rooms and beds in order to treat patients in Flagstaff. Also expressed is the view that a new hospital would increase high-quality healthcare using new technology and would attract dedicated medical professionals. Another plus for the new location is to eliminate wait times for healthcare and also allow for mothers to stay with babies who are admitted to the NICU. Concerns expressed at our meetings have included belief that relocation of Flagstaff Medical Center involves the opening up of undeveloped land in Flagstaff, bypassing our city's master plan, infringing upon our community open spaces, and presenting additional environmental concerns. Also expressed is the concern that moving our community hospital to a space at the very edge of our community would present accessibility concerns. As advocates for Flagstaff's disability community, we will summarize these accessibility concerns in the following paragraphs. Flagstaff residents, as well as our neighbors to the north, including the Navajo Nation, should be able to conveniently and confidently access health services, including primary care, emergency care, public health services, and behavioral health services. Access to healthcare is imperative for physical, social, and mental health status, quality of life, and life expectancy. Unfortunately, individuals with disabilities often encounter barriers to healthcare that limit their ability to access the care needed. Transportation to healthcare sites has proven to be a major barrier for access to healthcare. Our team is concerned that relocating our community hospital to a space 8 miles south of its current location and away from Flagstaff downtown area will only exacerbate transportation barriers for individuals with disabilities, as well as for our neighbors to the north. It is important to remember that many members of our disability community are unable to drive or own a vehicle, hence those 8 miles may truly be a barrier. The development agreement presented by Northern Arizona Healthcare for the NAH Health and Wellness Village is itself unclear on ensuring accessibility for people with disabilities and mobility challenges. The only place in the agreement accessibility is addressed is in section 4.5, which includes a statement: transit stops for public transportation shall be provided within land use area 2B for use in the future should a public transit route be in operation. We note that currently no public transit exists to the area of the proposed site, so whether public transit public transit to the new site will actually occur is questionable. The agreement also states that NAH's current point-to-point shuttle service will be continued to the new hospital. Unfortunately, we have learned through a phone call to Flagstaff Medical Center that the current NAH shuttle service is extremely limited and not actually in place for many who need it. We are concerned that moving the hospital to the edge of our city will only worsen this. Moreover, the agreement also states that the current shuttle service may be replaced, substituted in whole or in part through NAH's consummation of a service agreement with Mountain Line. The fact that this agreement does not yet exist is troublesome. To ensure access to the new hospital for all, we feel that plans for transportation ensuring access should be solidified and new bus routes agreed upon prior to moving forward with relocation of the hospital. Another accessibility issue involves locating the hospital on the same road as Fort Tuthill, which hosts many large, well-attended events annually. Even with improvements to the infrastructure, we are concerned that especially for those unable to use Interstate 17, access to care will prove difficult. Additionally, residents of our community are well aware of the current challenges posed when navigating north-south passageways through Flagstaff. We are concerned that these challenges will only be heightened by placing a new hospital, a wellness village, and 315 new residences on an already congested north-south passageway that culminates through the center of town. We also have a concern about the plans for improvements to the infrastructure itself. We see that the agreement calls for NAH to provide for sidewalks within the project, but will sidewalks specifically on Beulah Boulevard also be put in place? For the differently abled members of our community, particularly those using a wheelchair or having other mobility challenges, this is a major concern that is not addressed in the agreement. Another concern that we have is in regards to the cost of healthcare itself. The proposition does indicate that it is privately funded. However, it would seem that the actual cost of additional healthcare personnel and new facility and equipment might be handed down by the hospital. This may also prove to be a concern for those who do not have adequate health coverage for this. Please know that the Northern Arizona Community of Practice team neither endorses political candidates nor takes political stances. Our team is an advocacy coalition for youth and young adults with disabilities, does address concerns influencing the lives of those we represent and brings those concerns to public attention. To the Commission on Inclusion and Adaptive Living, we are presenting concerns that have been brought to our attention, and we ask the Commission to address these in the near future. We appreciate your time in listening to our concerns and thank you in advance for your time and attention to addressing them. Sincerely, the Northern Arizona Community of Practice team.
Thank you, Michelle. Russ?
I really don't have anything to add. I would just, with regards to the transition fair on October 27th, we are looking for a keynote speaker, I believe still, and we are looking for presenters as well as vendors. So any of you who would like to be involved or assist, please reach out to one of us.
Thank you, Russ. Next on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from August 23rd. If you will take just a moment to look at those, and then if I can have a motion to approve them.
I move to approve the minutes. This is Russ.
Thank you, Russ. Do I have a second?
I second. This is
Thank
Sarah.
you, Sarah. All right, so moved. Now our action items. I'm actually going to,
Rachel, we need to vote.
oh, that's right. Thank you. All those in favor of approving the minutes say aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the minutes are so approved. The date of our next meeting is October 25th, 2023. We at 12 o'clock, as always, via Zoom. For our action items, I'm actually going to take a moment very quickly to present Jamie Martinez. He is our new parking liaison, and this commission looks forward to working with him. Jamie, can you say hi? We all know who you are, but can you say hi really quick?
Yes, hello, folks. I am your former chair of the Commission on Inclusion and Adaptive Living. And I just wanted to say a few things. I'll be brief, but I wanted to extend my thanks to my fellow commissioners. It's been a joy to work with you, and I look forward to continuing capacity to work with you through being the parking liaison. To city staff, thank you for your encouragement and support in my time as the lead for this commission. I really do appreciate everything that you've done on my behalf, and I look forward to becoming a commissioner once again when an opportunity opens. In the meantime, I will be serving as the parking liaison, and I look forward to helping the city address several issues with parking and certain accessibility issues that are brought about by weather and by vehicles perhaps misparking, a whole slew of things. If you do see things across the city, please bring them to our attention.
Thank you, Jamie. Russ, I see your hand is raised. Go ahead, please.
I would just like to thank Mr. Jamie Martinez for his many, many years of service to our community, and maybe specifically for his many years of service to the disabled community of Flagstaff. Jamie, your work is much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks,
so
Russ.
much, Russ. I really do appreciate that.
And then to wrap up commission business, I would like to really quickly vote on a new commission chair and co-chair. And I am going to nominate Russ Randall as chair.
Okay, hold on just a second. We're skipping over the presentation from Jeremy.
We are indeed. I'm trying to finish commission business, and then we will ask our city departments to present.
I will allow that.
Russ, do I hear a motion for Russ to become chair? No motion?
I would like to make a motion for Russ Randall to become our chairperson.
Thank you, Keith. Do I hear a second?
This is Michelle, and I will second that.
All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
So passed. Russ is our new chairperson. And we are also voting in a vice chair. Do I hear someone that would like to step in as vice chair?
I move to appoint Rachel as our vice chair. This is Russ.
Do I hear a second?
I will second.
And all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, welcome aboard, Russ, and I am happy to be back in vice chair seat. Go ahead, Russ.
Ooh, okay. It's a quick transition for me, but thank you. So at this point, and thank you all for your trust and your confidence in me to elect me as your chair. But now we need to go to, I think, Sarah Dechter, who is going to present to us on the Flagstaff Regional Plan.
Actually, Sarah is not here, so we're moving to Jeremy doing his presentation.
Okay, so no Sarah and no Jordan Hollinger either. Is that correct, Lisa?
That is correct.
Okay, well, we now welcome Jeremy DeGuider here. And Jeremy, it's good to see you again.
Yes, thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, honorable commission members. It's a pleasure to be back in front of this commission. I'm joined here today by Nick Hall with Burgess and Nightpole, and I'll pause to let him introduce himself briefly.
Well, hello, thank you, Chair, Commissioners. We do appreciate the opportunity to be in front of you today. We have a presentation that Jeremy will lead us into, but thank you for your time.
All right, thank you, Nick. So we are here presenting on behalf of the Butler Fourth Improvements Project. We're excited to be here. We have spent many months working internally with a large group of internal and external stakeholders to kind of figure out what this project's going to look like. And we're excited to finally be able to bring this out to the commission. Next slide, please. So typically this presentation would take upwards of an hour, so we're going to really pare this down. We're going to go pretty quickly through the kind of project background, goals, timelines, and really dive into kind of our preferred alternative and some of the scoring that the project team has been working on. But if you would like the full-fledged version, we invite you to either attend Transportation Commission, which is coming up next week. We'll have that public town hall meeting, which will be roughly mid-October, and ultimately we will be going to City Council probably about mid-November at this point. So stay tuned on that. Next slide. A quick background of what this project is. This was originally two projects. This was actually Butler Avenue widening and was also Butler Fourth intersection improvements. And its ultimate goal is to widen the existing two-lane road between Little America, Sonoa Heights along Butler Avenue, and then continue the complete street section of 4th Street from roughly Sparrow Avenue south through the Butler intersection. It's funded by both the new and old transportation taxes and some cash in lieu contributions from the developers that you have seen develop over the past several years along this corridor. One item we're not really going to spend much time on is that there will be a roundabout at the Harold Ranch Butler Avenue intersection. This is largely driven by changes to access control, so what you can do trying to exit driveways. So the primary need for this is coming from Little America. Trucks will no longer be able to cross the median. They will have to make a right turn when exiting, and they will have to be able to perform a U-turn maneuver to get back onto the interstate, which drives the need for the roundabout at the Harold Ranch. Next slide. So this is just a little bit of the kind of background area here for what this project looks like. We're looking at a couple of different exhibits here. The different shading is just related to development, and there's a large kind of salmon or pink shading in the middle, and this is the Canyon del Rio, which will, as this development builds out, and if you've been in this area, you've seen this happening. This will add roughly 1,500 homes, townhomes, and apartments, in addition to a substantial amount of retail space as this builds out. And so we do expect significant development activity along this corridor, which will only increase traffic and other users of all modes. The other thing that this slide is showing is the current and future bus stops and crossings. So there's currently a bus stop at Little America. There will be new bus stops at Peak Point along Butler, which is roughly where the Bluffs Senior Center is. And there will be new bus stops at the Butler Fourth intersection. There will be mid-block crossings at in the area of Little America and at the Peak Point / Bluffs location. And of course, there will be crossings at the intersections. Next slide. So really the project goal, the The high level goal is that we are attempting to improve facilities for all modes, all users of the corridor. Now, this is informed by a number of different plans, but ultimately at the real basis, we are trying to achieve the highest level of safety for all of our users, whether they're driving a car, riding a bike, walking, or in a wheelchair. And with that, I'll turn it over to Nick to talk a little bit more about Vision Zero.
Thank you, Jeremy. So as part of this project and goals of the city that we will be implementing Vision Zero full alignment as part of this project. It's something that is important to us at Burgess and Nyepel. It's something important to me that really the roadway safety to all users is paramount for the new projects we put out. Part of Vision Zero that I think may have been discussed in this group before, but just to reiterate, we use the safe systems approach. And basically, it's a redundant system that is based on the premise that people will make mistakes in one form or another, whoever it may be, but really making a redundant safety system. So if one piece is missed, there's another system to help prevent really the fatalities and the major crashes. That's what we're looking to, just reduce the chance of the major injuries. Okay. Another piece of Vision Zero that we like to talk about, that one of the best approaches to achieving Vision Zero is separation of space and time between the different modes and users. So this is the corridor that we're planning out for both Butler and Fourth through the lengths of the project that Jeremy mentioned earlier. There will be 2 lanes for vehicular operations in both directions with a median. There will be a parkway space behind, just outside the outer lanes. And we will be using a 5-foot directional bike lane and 6-foot sidewalk, again, off street on the edge of the improvements in the corridor. Here's kind of zooming into that pedestrian and bike facilities that are planned throughout. Again, directional bike lane. We will be using the protected intersection crossings, as Jeremy mentioned earlier, and we'll show in detail later as we focus into the actual intersections. And just bringing this graphic back in for the various users, for bicyclists and the comfort levels. And also this graphic here reiterating the safety piece on speed that we'll be talking about too, that focusing on speed where the crossings do occur. The lower the speed limit, the less likely there is for a fatality, as shown in this graphic. Okay. So wanted to zoom in and look at, these are very preliminary designs. We have a lot of engineering design to go into with this project, but we do have some preliminary exhibits to share with you all today. This is looking at the west end of the project between Little America and the overnight truck parking on the north side. This is a proposed exhibit of what the mid-block crossing will roughly look like in its ultimate design. As Jeremy mentioned, we will have a raised median on Butler that does not currently exist today. It's just 5 lanes across. So we'll have 2-lane crossings and then a pedestrian refuge island in the middle. And we'll be using the rapid flashing beacon setup that is typical or has been used significantly around town. These will be accessible pedestrian signals and all the features to it. The tactile arrow on the push button, the audible signals, all of that will be included with these enhanced crossings throughout the project. Another piece to mention on here too is, as we go through design, we are still going to be evaluating of actually making these raised crosswalks as well as an additional feature. Okay. Again, continuing through the preliminary exhibits, this is a rough sketch of the intersection with the future peak point that will be coming into Butler Avenue. I do believe it's mostly built at this point, but it's still underway. But this is immediately south of the bluffs, showing this intersection, again, having that crossing right at this intersection. And the larger map earlier did show that we are planning for a paired bus stop at this location. The exact details of that will be worked out through design of how exactly, where's the best spot for the buses to pick up passengers. So as part of this project, Jeremy mentioned earlier that we had several alternatives to evaluate at the intersection of Butler Avenue and 4th Street. This is quite a substantial process. We'll just mention it in brief, what's happened over the past 10, 11 months. We eventually built this up to about 11 different alternatives were evaluated for the intersection. We were able to take this down to about 3 alternatives for an in-depth review for a multidisciplinary team that involved several city staff and partners, stakeholders to the city. This did include multimodal representation, city traffic, mountain line, sustainability, our consultant team, as well as capital improvements in Jeremy's team. So from the 3 alternatives, we were able to take it down to 1 as a team preferred alternative, using again a lot of categorical evaluation to determine that preferred, and we'll go through the process for those 3 to show you all those criteria we used.
Yep. And before we move on to that, just want to stress that these are preliminary. So in contrast to what we've done in the past, we have not actually gone into design. So we are having these conversations, doing all this public outreach and so on now, where we can have these conversations about what this project should look like. And so everything that you're seeing here has not been fully engineered. You know, things are highly fluid at this point. We are really trying to make the commitments to the different treatments and the different standards and ideals that we will commit this project to.
And Jeremy, this is Russ. I appreciate that clarification on that. So this is not in place. This is proposed, correct?
Correct. So what you're about to see there, you're going to see a number of alternatives that we're about to present. And none of these, like you're going to see some graphics, but none of these are actually fixed in place. They're more conceptual / preliminary that are conveying high level ideas versus actual representation of how tight a curve may be or how wide something may exactly be. So.
And then Jeremy, how long is this presentation expected to take?
We will use up most of the rest of this. We intend to walk you through our alternatives, the scoring of this, and then we will have the commission actually weigh in, and we'll do a quick poll here within teams to help rank the alternatives. But I expect that this will bring us close to the end of the hour.
Well, Jeremy, we do have another action item on our agenda, which we do need to address today. So I'm going to ask if you are able to, if you could wrap it up by like 12:55.
Yes, we could shoot for that, of course.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question, please?
And I can't see who has their hands up. So somebody else. Go ahead, Rachel.
Okay. So my question is, what is the current speed limit headed east? What is it currently?
It's posted at 35 miles per hour currently.
And will that speed limit be lowered as when the roundabout is finished?
Currently, for the segments of the roadway, it will remain 35. However, at the roundabout, and potentially plural, you'll see that there will be features to reduce that speed to the goal of being 15-20 miles per hour within the roundabout limits.
So I think one of my concerns, and this may not be the time, but one of my concerns is I'm a wheelchair user. I see consistently that if it's marked 35, people are going more 45, 50, and they're unlikely to slow down until they've actually hit the roundabout, in the roundabout, and then they have to slam on the brakes. And it just seems unsafe. As a wheelchair user, 35 miles an hour still seems extremely unsafe to me.
Rachel, we hear you. Let's continue through the presentation. I think we'll address some of that. A lot of that gets into the engineering design driven by geometrics and so on to slow traffic down, and some of those Vision Zero ideals of redundant systems to slow people down in addition before they even begin to pay attention.
Okay, thanks, Jeremy.
Okay, so 2 alternatives that were evaluated earlier on. These were before we came down to the 3, but we did want to bring them up today, that they did not meet city standards. However, we are presenting them to demonstrate the benefits and drawbacks of each of these. There's two that we'll be presenting. And we'll be also using these to evaluate potentially a construction phased approach of building something that can be built onto later, a kind of two-phase project over time. And we'll be looking at whether these options, again, can be phased out, and we'll have that information prior to our presentation at City Council in November. So to go over kind of the language, the kind of how we describe these intersections, you'll see number by number, and this is roughly the lane dimensions of the intersection. So one of these was the 5x5, roughly 5 lanes through in both directions. The benefits, it's the smallest intersection. It reduced the pedestrian, bicycle, and crossing lengths. And across all of these alternatives, we were using protected intersection features, which we'll go into detail. The drawbacks for vehicular queuing lengths was quite substantial, and significant delays for the vehicular traffic. Another one of these alternatives was the 2x2 roundabout, which just consists of 2 circulating lanes across the roundabout. So there's 2 circulating lanes in all directions. Benefits: reduced pedestrian crossing lengths, reduced likelihood of high severity crashes. With roundabouts, we do see a significant reduction in speed. We do have a lot more property damage crashes of vehicles kind of scraping against each other in the roundabout. That does increase with roundabouts, but speeds are lowered, and we do see fatalities significantly drop with roundabout design, primarily related to the speed and angles as well. Drawbacks are the increased low severity crashes, I said, and significant delays. Again, did not meet city standards here. So this takes us to our 3 alternatives that did proceed to the final evaluation. So this is the 7x7 intersection, which is roughly 7 lanes in each direction. I'm going to zoom into the crossing features of it, that we did use the protected intersection aspects with tighter curves to help vehicles slow down, making the right turn and not having faster right turns. This does include the pedestrian crossing over the bike lane facilities. We do have the bike waiting areas on the corner, as well as the dedicated bicycle and pedestrian crosswalks across the intersection. The second alternative was roughly 6 lanes wide in each direction. Again, still those protected features. And then the third alternative was again, 2x2 roundabout, except this time it does include channelized right turn lanes in every direction. Unfortunately, removing 1 or 2 or 3 really did not make a change for traffic operations. It was basically all 4 of them or none of them, and that's why you see those as 2 alternatives. 2 circulated lanes, the crossings for the roundabout, every crossing will include the rapid flashing beacon setup. And again, the accessible push buttons and signals, and we'll be evaluating the raised crosswalks at these crossings as well. Piece to note for the roundabouts too, just for consideration, that with the traffic operations versus a signal, that we do have lower speeds for a roundabout. The interaction between pedestrians and bicycle users and vehicles is a different situation. That again, there's kind of that interaction that there's not just a protected you may now cross now. There's more of the pedestrian has to watch for vehicles to slow down and proceed. So it may be a little bit less comfortable, but we have lower speeds and more interaction, drivers and people not driving interacting at a better rate, which doesn't help improve safety. The overall crossings are reduced as well. You can see the Grace individual crossing is only 2 lanes in this configuration, but it is still a distance to get across.
So before we move on here, historically, roundabout crossings have been challenging for visual impairments and so on. They can be challenging, and historically they have not been signalized. So we have committed to both, whether we ultimately build a signalized intersection or a roundabout, committed to what we're calling the gold standard. It'll be a protected intersection in either configuration. So we will have signalized crossings even at roundabouts. We'll have the accessible push buttons, so they will speak for those people that have visual impairments and can't make the determination of whether or not there's a safe gap to cross. traffic. And then of course, speeds is the critical part. So getting speeds down to that 15 mile an hours greatly improves both compliance for drivers to actually yield, and also just increase safety when something bad does happen.
And just to quickly, oh, go ahead, Jeremy, sorry.
We've got 5 minutes left, Nick, so we should probably go pretty quick.
Okay. Here's a zoom into the crossing for the roundabout. So here's the rating matrix we use to evaluate the final 3 alternatives and against the no build condition, basically leaving the intersection as is that currently exists today. The first category was vehicular operations. This was primarily on vehicular delay and queuing. We did look at school circulation and emissions as well. Truck circulation, this was based largely on truck familiarity and maneuverability. How easy will it be for a semi-truck to maneuver through the intersection? That we do have a fair amount of truck traffic at this intersection. Transit accommodation, working with Mountain Line here to see how these configurations would best serve, again, dropping off and picking up of users. The pedestrian bike circulation. So in this category, looked at, again, kind of, this one was more so based on comfort level. I believe it was this one. We did have one that was comfort and the other one was more safety between the ped bike circulation and the pedestrian bike interface. So we did weigh these individually. The predictive crash frequency, this looked at what will these intersections behave in with the regards to crashes in the future. And here you will see the roundabout. There are more overall crashes anticipated for the roundabout, but the severity of them is expected to be less severe crashes versus a larger amount of more severe crashes. Again, the second category for pedestrian bike. And then cost and land impact category. This we looked at construction costs, right-of-way takes, and the 3 build alternatives were actually roughly about the same order of magnitude. The no build being no cost scored the highest in this, but the 3 alternatives scored roughly the same. So,
Russ,
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Russ,
Yes, Rachel?
would it be possible, since we're getting close on time, would it be possible to ask Nick and Jeremy back next month as the only city department to present? Because I do believe I've got a lot of questions and I believe we have some public participation as well. And so I think that this, would it be appropriate to add this next month as well?
I think that's a question for you, Jeremy.
Based on our current schedule, we can certainly come back next month to continue the conversation. I would like to put our poll up and have you rank them where they are. Certainly, if you have comments, we can put comments into the chat. We will record those. This will all be kind of summarized when we go to City Council. But given the timing of the next meeting for this commission will be quite close to City Council, so we're trying to get as much feedback earlier rather than later. And I guess this ranking is really only intended for commissioners to participate in, but certainly we are taking any and all comments.
Okay, so as the chair, I am going to give you some feedback. I appreciate that safety first, and Nick, I think you called it zero safety or safety. What did you call it?
Vision zero.
But the safety first, because obviously as a Commission on Inclusion and Adaptive Living, safety, and perhaps especially with regards to safety concerns for folks with disabilities, is going to be our primary concern, exceeding all other concerns, to the point where I'm glad to see that we are looking at protected intersections. I have to say, I have a concern about a 7x7 or a 6x6 intersection. Those feel like very, very large intersections to me. Akin to the intersection in Enterprise, perhaps, akin to the intersection at that we have at 66 and 4th Street now. Those intersections are very difficult for folks with disabilities to to use, actually, to the point where people are afraid to go through those intersections. The other concern is, I think, and Rachel talked about, is the 35-mile-an-hour speed limit is a lot of speed for that corridor. And that creates a lot of safety concerns with regards to folks with disabilities. But that's my feedback. I see, and I can't really tell on my screen who has their hand up. So who has your hand up?
I believe it's Michelle.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. Michelle?
Hey, good afternoon again. I actually had a question about, I was looking at when you were talking about the 5-foot parkway and the sidewalk. I couldn't tell if that was designed, the parkway was designed, is that got a curb on it? Because I couldn't, it looked kind of flat. And when I think of a parkway, I think of like cars being able to drive up on it, but I assume that the buffer to keep people from hitting people that are on the sidewalk. That's my assumption. I just want to make sure that's correct.
Yes,
Yes,
it is.
Go ahead, Jeremy, sorry.
It is vertically and horizontally separated. So there is a vertical curb at the edge of the travel lanes. Then there's that 6-inch curb, a 5-foot wide landscaping / furnishing strip, which we also refer to as a parkway, that physically separates the multi-purpose pathways from the roadway.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I am going to launch the poll, so I would invite any of the commission members to rank the alternatives. In your preference, it's pretty much just a grab and drop, and then hit submit, and then we will move forward. I know we are out of time at this point, but certainly I think there's a lot more to talk about.
The poll indicates that I do not have permission to view.
Okay, is anyone else getting that?
I am.
Right. Then I will close the poll, and we will be back next month.
Jeremy, I do have one concern.
Okay.
So I think that my favorite of all of them would be the right-hand channel. Well, kind of, but kind of not. The feet from crossing from one side, and Russ touched on it. As a wheelchair user, I'm speaking from my personal. It is extremely difficult for me to cross Route 66 and 4th without my caregiver. So putting channelized right is just adding more space that I have to traverse. Then I'm also going to have to be aware of any semi trucks or large trucks that enter in. And the island that you have in the middle is not really a safe zone for me, but it adds distance for me. So I've got some real concerns with all of them, actually.
So we've not had a chance to mention all this, but we are continuing to work towards optimizing. I know Nick said that we've taken the look at eliminating some of those right turn lanes and so on, and we will continue to work towards that. We're also committed towards evaluating whether or not some of these smaller options that you saw that don't involve the channelized right turn lanes or a 5x5 intersection, whether or not those would be appropriate from a phased construction approach, to where we build a smaller alternative first, and then in 10 years or so you would come back and add should traffic have grown to indicate that need. So we will have answers to that by the time that we get to City Council, but we continue to work towards evaluating that and optimizing, particularly the roundabout with those right turn lanes.
So can I make the request that some of you meet me at 4th Street and Route 66 and actually watch me cross that 5-lane traffic? That will give you a better idea of someone who sits in a wheelchair. I've almost been hit several times because it takes me longer to get across that street than what is allocated now. So would it be possible in the next, I don't know, 2 weeks or so for you guys to come out and actually watch myself and one other wheelchair user cross?
Of course, yes, you and I can reach out. We'll connect outside of this and follow up on that.
And I know that we're out of time, Russ. We did have a public participant. Can we invite him to come back next month when we revisit this?
For sure, I think we can do that. And I see another hand up. I'm not sure whose hand that is. I guess we're good. But Nick and Jeremy, thank you so much for presenting to us today. And we look forward to hearing more from you at our next meeting. So Lisa, make sure we put Jeremy on the agenda, right?
We will do. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you,
very much.
Jeremy. We'll put you on for next month.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
And then that means we move on to action item D, which is ADA sidewalk compliance, which I am going to make a motion that in conjunction with our presentation to the council on October 10th, that the commission also submit a letter which kind of summarizes our recommendations that will be going verbally, but to actually put those recommendations in writing. So I am moving that we actually submit a letter along with the presentation regarding sidewalk compliance. Do I have a second to that motion?
You do. I do.
Is there discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Do we have any opposition to that motion? That motion passes unanimously then. Thank you so much. And then I actually have a second motion, and this is based upon the letter that we heard today from the Northern Arizona Community of Practice Transition Team, which does address potential sidewalk compliance relative to the wellness village, the proposed NAH wellness village. And I move that we submit that letter, but edit that letter so that it is appropriate from our commission, but submit that letter to the council relative to our concerns about accessibility. Do I have a second to that motion?
You do. I second.
Discussion. Okay, all those in favor of that motion, please say aye.
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 Is there any opposition to that motion? Thank you. That motion also passes unanimously. And then really quickly, and I'm asking for your grace here because we are slightly over time, but we do have a couple discussion items that are on under number 10 on the agenda, but I think they really all kind of relate to the same discussion item, and that is about this commission having a work session meeting the third Wednesday of each month. Lisa, I don't know if that needs to be an action item or if that's just a discussion item.
It was a discussion item because you guys kind of voted on it in the previous month. So it was supposed to be a discussion item.
Oh,
The discussion would be basically when you guys were going to select moving forward with your work group.
And it's a work session, actually, right? Not a work
Yes.
group.
Right.
And I apologize. I missed the last meeting. I had a doctor's appointment. So, but yeah, so I guess our discussion is to actually hold that work session the third Wednesday of each month at noon. So it would be kind of mirroring the time of this meeting, but that would be our work session meeting at which we basically take on information items and do discussion about items. And then we actually do our action and do the work at this meeting. Is that right,
Correct.
Lisa?
Correct.
So I guess we've had that discussion. So let's go ahead and set that meeting for the third Wednesday of October, which I don't have my calendar in front of me. Can you help me with that, Lisa?
Yeah, let me get my calendar here. That is October 18th.
October 18th at noon. And for a work session, we don't actually have to have a quorum. Is that right, Lisa?
That is correct.
Okay, so hopefully we do have a quorum because we have a lot of things to discuss, obviously. But we will plan on having that work session then. And Lisa, you will set that up for us by Zoom or by Teams.
I can set it up by Teams. Absolutely. I can send out the invite to all the commissioners.
Excellent. I appreciate that, Lisa. And I apologize to all the commissioners and to the participants. I'm not as comfortable with Zoom with Teams as I am with Zoom, frankly. So I am doing my best, right? Is there anything else we need to discuss? Is there anything that we need to make sure that we have on the agenda for our next meeting? I know that Jeremy will be on the agenda for the next meeting. And then is there anything else that any of the other commissioners need to see placed on the agenda?
Russ, I would like to say something.
Go ahead,
Uh,
Rachel.
Some things have come down the pipeline this week that have been discomforting for me. And I would like to be the first one to apologize for anything that has happened. And I hope moving forward that we can have a meeting, get it worked out, and move forward, because we're not here for the infighting. We're here to get business done, and sometimes that's a little bit uncomfortable for people, but I would like to apologize for anything I have done and hope to move forward from here.
Thank you for that, Rachel. Keith?
Yes, for our work session, should we not have an agenda for that? And if we do, who will be doing that agenda?
That's a good question.
So how we usually do it is you all provide me with the agenda that you want to discuss. And when I do the invite to the Teams meeting, I'll have that listed in the body of the invite.
Okay, and then we can invite people like Jeremy and those folks to
No,
show their
this is-
presentations?
This is strictly for you guys to come up with ideas that are actionable to the committee. Okay, so it's
Yep.
you doing your behind the scenes, let's move something forward.
Okay. I like that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And Lisa, correct me, I think usually informational items like might be coming from the city, typically those would go under discussion items rather than under action items. Is that correct?
That is correct, and I just caught that just as soon as you said that. So we'll make sure that we'll move it for the next agenda.
Right. And thank you for that, Lisa. Keith, thank you for clarifying. Rachel, thank you for your comments as well. And just to summarize, I guess as far as action, we did actually confirm the appointment of Jamie Martinez as our compliance officer with regards to parking, and we're thrilled to have Jamie involved with that. Do reach out to Jamie if you become aware of any violations that should be noticed. And we also, through our action items, have directed the commission to send 2 letters to the council. One letter with regards to the sidewalks and in conjunction with our presentation, and then a second letter with regards to the proposed health wellness village. Anything else we need to discuss, folks? Hey, thank you so much. I appreciate your trust in me, appointing me as chair or voting me in as chair. And I appreciate you staying a little late for the meeting as well. And we will talk soon.
Okay, so we are adjourning the meeting at 1:08 p.m.
And thank
Correct?
you for your grace and staying a little late. Thank you.
Thank you. You guys have a good day.
You too.
Thanks, everybody.